I see us. AC go. Gordon Dewis says we haven't had any clear skies in ages. Not sure why I have a telescope anymore. I I know the feeling. The
Yes.
observatory in California is fixed and ready to go, and I had like one night of mediocre observing to make sure that it was working, and it was great for bad, moon skies, and then it's been rainy in the southwest for cloudy
It's
and rainy for the
because
last couple of
all of
weeks.
us want to go outside and see
Yeah.
that crazy star we're going to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. Good timing. Good timing. It might have already exploded right now. Someone go check.
Yeah, but we won't know for a couple hundred years.
Well, no, no, no. It's.
But it could have exploded a couple hundred years
Yeah,
ago, and
yeah,
we're
yeah.
about
No, I
to
mean,
find
like
out.
it could be right now. Like it could be changing right now.
Yeah.
Someone go check. We'll wait. It's a crazy year. We have way too many things to talk about. So I don't even
Some
know
of
where
them
to
are
start.
recycled.
Oh, there's one. The Solar Orbiter. I forgot that guy. Okay.
Oh, Parker.
Well, Parker's already launched. It just did his flyby of Venus.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a list of 15 things here, I think. So it's going to be a big year. How was your holiday?
Um so one of the things that happens when you have no family is, or like there's no children in the household,
Yeah.
is Kyle slept in, we made a turkey breast in the slow cooker, and generally ignored it other than to watch Star Wars and then go see the new movie last night because people kept posting spoilers on Twitter and I want
Yeah.
to kill
How
all of
was
them.
it?
I really liked it. Kyle was so. We both think it will grow more on us with
Mm-hmm.
time. It was comfort food. It
Yeah.
was not like one of those movies where you're like, this deserves awards. No, it was comfort food.
I'm going to be such a monster. I'm going to wait and watch it when it shows up on Disney Plus. And um, I'm about to cancel Disney Plus. I'm going to watch the final episode of The Mandalorian, and then and that's it for Disney
No,
Plus.
it we are pretty much doing the same thing. We got we got Disney Plus Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And so we have 1 month
Yeah.
and we're gonna binge Star Wars for that entire 1 month. Um, but yeah.
There's nothing else. I mean, again, if my children were 10 years younger, then that would be the heart of it, and that's
Yeah, I
all I would
do.
run, right? But
It
now
it also has all the Marvel movies.
they don't care. They just don't care.
I
Nope.
care.
Nope. Do you care about the Marvel movies? Do you care about Star Wars? There you go. Yeah, they just don't care. But I mean, they've got their nerd cred. Like I think I'd say Rick and Morty is probably Logan's favorite TV show.
Yeah.
Chloe's favorite show is The Dragon Prince. On currently, she's loving The Dragon Prince on Netflix. So there's
Have
plenty
you
of.
started watching The Witcher
Oh
yet?
yeah, finished it.
Okay, what are your thoughts on
I
it?
liked it. We liked it a lot. There was some stuff in it that was quite surprising. Like just stuff done in a story that I'm sure it's like torn from the books, which I haven't read. I've only played the
Yeah.
game. I haven't actually read the books. And so there's some interesting story arcs for some of the people involved that was fairly untraditional for the kind of story that it was. So I
Okay.
enjoyed like it really felt episodic in a way that like it felt like a bunch of short stories. Each episode was a short story that progressed to the storyline of the various
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
but at the same time there was more of an overarching storyline that ran through it, and a sort of a weirdness in playing with time that you sort of took you a while to kind of grok which were events were happening now and which events were happening in the past. And it's only as
Well,
you start to move towards the final episodes you realize which of the scenes are now and which of the scenes are a couple of years ago. So it's.
and there there's so much subtle stuff going on. I had to rewatch the first 2 episodes, so I'm only
Yeah.
3 episodes in,
Yeah.
because I was trying to work on some graphics while watching it, so my eyeballs weren't constantly on
Right.
it, and I missed stuff.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I'm still building my thoughts. Still
We
building my
liked it.
thoughts.
Carla gave it a 7.6, I believe. And we gobbled up The Expanse. I mean, we had that just, down the hatch in 2 days. And we were traveling. So, and this was the best season of them all. Season 4 was so good. So good. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for keeping it going. Yeah. Brian Yoko says that the Universe Today video on Betelgeuse is a bummer. Do you want me to tell you that it's going to explode? I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to say hi to some people. Hello to Annie Wilson and Astro YYZ and Beatrix Lidner and Brian Yuku and Colin Jones, Daniel McCool, Gordon Dewis, Harry M, Ian Farquharon, Kylie Cerna, Nancy Graziano, Paranor, Paul Disney, Raj Luthra, Subject Line, Zapvan. Hey, everybody. And there's a bunch of other people that probably
On
said
Twitch.
hello
Hello,
earlier.
Twitch people.
Hello, Twitch people. I don't have your names in front of me, but I'll figure that out. I'll sort it out.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh, and speaking of figuring things out, Letterkenny Season 8 dropped yesterday, 2 days ago on Christmas. Yeah, and we just gobbled that one up too. So if you want a good Canadian television show, Letterkenny. Figure it out. Figure it out.
So I have succeeded in getting the back end of our Twitch open, but they have launched a new layout which has me. I can only see 3 names. Hello Kirov, hello Rocket Sage, hello Broken Symmetry. I know there are more people out there. However, I'm having trouble finding you because the universe hates me. Users in chat, that's what I want. Hello Susie, hello Astrowise, hello Aiton, hello Autumn's Rain, hello Blade Runner, hello Broken Symmetry, hello Broken Code, hello Chemist, hello Feet. Hello Flint Town, hello Harmful Opinions, hello Hodor, hello Ironheart, hello Jocko Donar, hello Kirov, hello Lancy, hello Lassie Mares, hello Rimble? Limp
Limp
Rumble. Mega Kai, Prof Zenos, Posix, Raj Luthra, Rocket Sage, the Gem
Wait,
Doctor,
Raj
Tom
Luthra is
Van
over in
Scooter.
YouTube too. Raj, are you watching
Well,
this
Raj
twice?
is like multi-windowing.
Wow.
Hello, Uncle Bill Druin. Hello, V and K. Hello, Virgo Pros, and hello, Kaiki.
How many people is that there?
A lot.
Yeah, it's almost like we're probably the same number. We've got 60 viewers on YouTube and then probably the same number over on Twitch. So
thank you, Harmful Opinions, for the sub. Thank you so much.
all right. So if you're wondering what it is you're stumbled into, this is going to be an episode of Astronomy Cast. We have no idea what we're going to talk about today, except that we're going to talk about the things that we're excited about for 2020. So
yes.
But who knows? We will ramble. So I guarantee it. But anyway, let's get ready to roll. Are you ready-ish to roll?
Yep. I'm gonna have to give this title. What is the episode number? Because I'm
553.
553. Okay. I should record this at the correct bit rate. There we go. Okay. I am recording.
I am also recording. And okay.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 553. What we're looking forward to in 2020. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser Cain, publisher of Universe Today, and with me, as always, Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I am doing well. I survived our 40-hour stream last weekend, and we are doing good. And It's looking like 2020 has the potential to be a explosively awesome year.
Oh, hope in the good way. All right. Well, it's hard to believe it, but we survived another trip around the sun. Now it's time to take the whole journey all over again, but with new news. Let's take a look at some of the space and astronomy stories that we're looking forward to in 2020. Yeah, of course, the big news is that Betelgeuse is definitely probably dimming.
Yes. So
More,
so there's no probably on it. Betelgeuse is currently dimming to the point that it is a lower magnitude, a lower brightness, which is a higher number magnitude because
yeah.
astronomers do stuff backwards.
Well,
Um,
no, it all just depends on whether you're above or below the zero.
yes.
But I guess
Uh,
no, it is a bigger. Hold on, the the
the larger the
brightness,
number,
the
the fainter the
right,
object.
right, and so like the brightest thing in the sky is like minus 20, what, 7, the sun or something like that magnitude.
Yeah. Some
Yeah,
I don't remember
minus
its magnitude, but yes,
23.
it's the
Yeah,
sun.
yeah. So
So, Betelgeuse, the uh, top, if you are Orion right shoulder, if you're looking at Orion, his left shoulder, uh, that top red star, that top red shoulder, had been the brightest star in the constellation, had been one of the top brightest stars in
it was
the
the top
sky.
10. Yeah,
And currently it is fainter than Aldebaran, the bright orange eye of Taurus, the bull. And in the last 50 years of modern measurements, we have never seen it this faint. Now, this is a supergiant star. They do vary in magnitude. This particular star has a number of different ways that we see it growing and dimming. Um, but because it's one of the most likely to go boom, supernova, explode stars in the sky, all of the astronomers are like, please explode. And there's a whole lot of headlines floating around right now saying astronomers think Betelgeuse will explode. No, we don't think it's going to explode. We are wishful. We are
yeah,
hopeful. It is doing something we have never seen before. We know it has the potential to go boom. We know it's about 9 million years old and that stars this size generally go boom within the first 10 million years of their lives, but that doesn't mean it's going to go boom. And in fact, January is a important month because if it follows its normal behavior and is simply getting fainter than it normally gets right now, we will see it begin to increase in brightness, which means its magnitude number will go down towards zero. um, we will begin to see that change. um, Actually, it's already below zero, so it will simply go even lower. We will see that change in January. Now, if we don't see that, you're going to see a whole lot of astronomers going, please burn, please go boom, do something. Because we are owed a visual
yeah.
brightness supernova in our galaxy. Galaxies like ours in general should have a massive supernova every 100 years or so. We haven't had one in a while
Yeah.
unless it was the other side of the
1600,
bulge.
1674, 1624. Kepler's supernova was the last
Yeah.
one that we saw in the galaxy. And that's really unusual. Like there should
Yeah.
have been, and there probably were, they're just on the other side of the disk and couldn't see them. But the closest one was 1987A in the Large Magellanic Cloud. And that was 170,000 light years away. And that sucks.
And there's a couple of things that I've been seeing in the news that I want to highlight as just wrong. So, one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of stories say is telescopes around the world, the most mighty instruments are being turned towards Betelgeuse. No, they're not. Betelgeuse is stupidly bright. If you pointed an 8-meter telescope, even at it at its faintness right now, to image it, it would do bad things to your detector. Now, there are people that you can block down the light, you can spread it out with a spectrograph, but you don't need an 8-meter telescope to be doing this stuff. It became the first telescope to have its disk at a low resolution imaged,
Yeah.
and that was done with a 1.5-meter telescope back in the, I believe it was late 90s.
Do you want to hear something crazy? And so this can account for some of the variations that are happening with it.
Yeah.
It has cells on the surface, like when you look at the surface of the sun, you see the little blobby cells, the little granules, right? So Betelgeuse can have cells that are 60% the size of Betelgeuse.
Yeah.
So, and Betelgeuse extends out almost to the orbit of Jupiter. And so
it extends past the orbiter of
well, it
Jupiter. If you
depends.
put
It depends
it depends
on
on where it is in its pulsation cycle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so it grows and shrinks like mere variable
Perfectly
stars.
good
It has
pulsating
these
variable.
Yeah, it has these cells on its surface that blob around, and it's blowing out gas and dust. It's thought
Right.
that it should blow about the mass of the sun in its lifetime out into space.
Now, what we need at this point is color information. Because the way a star changes in magnitude as a pulsating variable, you see changes in color linked with changes in size, which are linked with changes in brightness, and it all interplays quite nicely. Now, if the color and temperature are the same thing, isn't changing the way we would expect for a pulsating variable star, that is new information that it is even weirder than before. I haven't been able to find high quality color data yet. And this is another one of those things that isn't getting talked about a lot. And there's been a few good Twitter feeds, but I haven't seen a good analysis in the mainstream media yet. And the data that's getting pulled for Betelgeuse is getting pulled from the American Association of Variable Star Observers' massive and amazing database. And this database consists largely for this object of naked eye observations of people standing out in the driveway going,
Right.
okay,
Looks a little dimmer.
How bright is Betelgeuse compared to all the surrounding stars? And so while this is really good data, the person to person variations are huge.
Yeah.
Which means you can't just download the data and use it as is. You have to do statistical analysis of people over time, pull everything up to a mean. And in fact, people who are just pulling the data down raw were like, oh, this is nothing special, until they started making these corrections. Different people started making these corrections and were like, oh, expletive, this is actually fainter than we've seen. There are a few people that have good photoelectric. This is digitally measured brightnesses. Ed Guinan at Villanova University is one of them.
That's the one I saw too.
But we need more color information, because knowing how bright or faint it is compared to other stars doesn't offer us temperature, which is what we really need to know if it's really behaving out of the normal. So please, people, please, color information, public, somewhere.
What we really need is neutrino observations. That would tell us if it's, on its way out, but that is impossible.
Well, so the neutrino informations are only slightly ahead of the go boom light brightness information.
Yeah, you get a couple of minutes.
Here's the thing is, when Betelgeuse does decide to go, whether it be tomorrow, please, 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 or a million years from now, which would be really sad, when it does decide to go, it will be observable with the technology we have today in all the colors of the electromagnetic spectrum, so all colors of light, but it will also potentially be giving off detectable gravitational waves, and it will be giving off neutrinos. So this will be something that we can study across particle physics, gravity physics, and light.
When you think about like pictures of the Crab Nebula, which was in 1054, it's 10 times closer.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it will look like when it goes off?
So they're saying it will get to magnitude -10 potentially.
It could rival the full moon.
Yeah, it will, pixel for pixel, be brighter than the full moon.
Yes, but it won't be the same size.
Right. And it will be 10 times brighter than Venus. And Venus, if you know where to look, you can see as a daytime object.
Mm-hmm.
This means that the supernova will be a daytime object.
Oh, yeah. for a year.
Please go boom, Betelgeuse.
Yeah.
Please. I know you don't actually care what I wish, what I hope, what I desire, but Betelgeuse.
And for anyone who still lives in the Betelgeuse system, we
We're sorry.
apologize for the horrific disaster that we are hoping will happen to your system. But if you orbit a red supergiant, you've had a bad time for a long time. That's a terrible, terrible place to live. So I don't think we have to worry about any civilizations, having a rough go of it when their star explodes. But so I mean, the reality is that we are hoping that Betelgeuse is going to explode, but we have no idea what's going to happen, and we will just wait. And most likely, it's going to increase in brightness again, and then maybe 100 years from now, we'll go, wow, Betelgeuse is dimmer than we've seen in 100 years. And then at some point in 100,000 years or so, someone's going to go, wow, Betelgeuse just exploded.
And I see in the chat that AstroWise is asking, are neutrino detectors directional? And an individual neutrino detector is not directional. It simply goes neutrinos, no neutrinos. But at this point in time, we have multiple neutrino detectors around the world. And by looking at the arrival time in different places, it starts to give us vague directional information. It's never going to be accurate enough to say that star did it. But statistically, if you see a burst of neutrinos and it's vaguely in the correct quadrant of the sky, you can link the two events, as we were able to do back with supernova 1987A.
Yeah. And like the Ice Cube Observatory in Antarctica is sort of the most sensitive machine ever to do this, and it has 1 cubic kilometer of ice that it's watching neutrinos explode in, and you've got other ones as well around the world now. So actually, I mean, you get a couple of neutrino detections with a supernova going off, and like there was a recent supernova, just a couple of 2014. It was about 11. The closest one since supernova 87A, supernova was about 11 million light years away in a nearby galaxy, and no neutrino detections. So they are, so far, the one has not gone off that's close enough beyond 87A for them to really detect this. So this is absolutely new science.
This is 650 to 700 light years away. It's kind of hard to measure the exact distance. This means all you people who are like, but Orion will no longer have a shoulder. Yes, he will have a shoulder. It will be a bloody nebula of a shoulder. It turns out Taurus the bull is finally going to gouge him. And as a Longhorn, I'm okay with this.
Right. Well, this whole episode is going to be about Betelgeuse if we don't rein this in.
Yeah, we should move on to other things. So January, the thing to look forward to in January is the rebrightening or not of Betelgeuse.
Yeah, if it doesn't get rebrightened, then it's getting weird.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So what are some, and let's just go, like, I don't think we want to go month by month. Let's just pick some events, some big events that you're excited about for 2020. So what's the next big thing that you're excited about?
So I'm always a fan of meteor showers, and in January, unfortunately, this is during the AAS meeting, so I'll be down in Hawaii, which is a really weird statement. Normally, one doesn't say unfortunately, but Honolulu has a lot of light pollution. So there's going to be the Quatrain meteor shower, and so here we're looking at a few meteors per hour. We also are going to have the best at the end of the year Geminids that we've had in a while. There's going to be a new moon.
Perfect.
And as someone who was born during the Geminids, I don't think about the astrology too hard because that hurts the soul. But I love the fact that I was born during a meteor shower, and this year is the year to go out and watch that meteor shower. Beyond that, this is the year I have decided I'm going to actually try and get good-ish at astrophotography. I don't have the money to be good. I'm aiming for good-ish. And there's some really cool events this year. We're going to have Jupiter and Saturn close enough. They're going to be 1/5 the diameter of the moon apart.
Yeah.
which means that in a really good camera lens, you're going to be able to resolve both of them
Yeah.
ever so slightly side by side. And that is also in December of next year. Apparently I'm really excited about next December. um
I've been keeping my eye
and
on this event for probably a decade now. I've been
yeah,
looking forward to this moment, this conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, because, as you say, it's going to be 1/5 the diameter of the full moon, which means that in a uh, fairly high power image, you're
yeah,
going to have both Jupiter and Saturn side by side in the eyepiece.
moons tangled together
Yeah,
in foreground and
yeah. I
background.
mean, it's going to be some of the most stunning creative pictures I think that we will have seen in astrophotography, in planetary astrophotography, in a decade. So this is a big one. When's that happening? In December?
That's December 21st.
Yeah.
So Um, now, if you want to practice, and these are the kinds of events you really need to practice for, a cool thing that you can practice with that's much sooner is Mars is going to pass behind the dark edge of the moon, which means you'll be able to see the sky glow of the moon in images where you're resolving Mars. And that's just kind of really cool. And being able to see Mars dip behind the lunar mountains, it's just cool.
Yep.
Just cool. Practice your
Yeah.
astrophotography, and that's February 18th.
So let's talk about now. Obviously there's a couple of eclipses. There's going to be an
Yeah.
annular eclipse. So unusual combination of that. Let's talk about some missions in robotic spaceflight first, and then we'll shift over to some human spaceflight. So um, now we're getting our closest approach to Mars again, sort of near the end of 2020, which means that it's the perfect time. It's the window that you send things to Mars. And so
Yes.
we've got two really important missions that are going to Mars. From NASA, it's the twin of Curiosity. It's going to be the Mars 2020 rover, which I'm sure it's going to get a new name at some point. And so it's going to be launching. And then you've got Europe's ExoMars mission, which consists of an orbiter as well as the Rosalind Franklin
Yeah.
rover, which I love as the name. Maybe ESA's been having
The
a bear of a
parachutes.
time getting this parachute working, and so
Right.
it could very well be. And they've actually NASA has been helping them out. They've been letting them use
Yeah.
they've got a test facility where they test out parachutes on this sort of high speed rail system to try and get the deployment working. They had a bunch of failures of their parachute
Yeah.
systems, so if they can't get this sorted out, they're
They're
not going to be
holding
able to
it.
launch this year, and they're going to have to wait until the next launch window, which will be like 2022. So if all goes well, we'll
And this
watch
is
both
one
of
of
them
those
go.
things where I really feel that delay is all right. Mars eats rovers, it
Yes.
eats landers, it eats spacecraft that simply come nearby. This is referred to as the Mars curse within the community.
Yep. The
And
galactic ghoul.
it's one of these things where Mars likes to remind us space is hard. And getting everything to work perfectly when you're landing on another world that has enough gravity that it's yanking things down at a good clip towards the surface, but not enough atmosphere that you can effectively brake in the ways that we're used to. It makes testing and designing things here on our world with our atmosphere and gravity really, really hard. You have to take things extraordinarily high up in the atmosphere if you want to try and practice. And they just haven't had the successful tests. Now, this isn't for lack of trying. They've pulled together parachute experts from around the globe. They've done workshops. They're doing everything they can, and I'm really hoping they pull this off. But if they don't have successful tests, I'm really hoping that they nope hard and give it another go around.
Yep. This is the year that OSIRIS-REx is going to be grabbing its sample from Bennu and making its I think it makes its journey home in 2021, but this is the year
Yeah.
we get the sample. Thanks in part
Yes.
to all the work from our good friends at CosmoQuest.
Yep. And we're looking at hopefully in the new year, we're going to see a rehearsal of what that will look like. as we have these primary and secondary landing sites. One is towards the North Pole, the other is near the equator. Equator is much easier to get to. The polar site is much more interesting, but both of them kind of have awful, nasty, horrible boulders and are kind of tiny, and
Yeah.
Bennu is nasty rocks all the way down. So I'm personally just looking forward to the rehearsal to see what we learn about, oh gosh, when we get closer, it's even worse than we imagined, or hey, it's not that bad.
But that is not the only mission that visited an asteroid, and we will get the sample back from Hayabusa 2, the
It
Japanese
has,
spacecraft that got up to all kinds of shenanigans with its asteroid Ryugu.
and they're going to be, I love the mission planning on this. They are going to be ejecting their sample from a distance greater than the distance of the moon, flinging it towards Earth where they expect it to come in over Australia.
Right.
And I just love the fact that orbital mechanics is that exact. Like, it's that exact
Yeah.
if you, because homework assignments. But to see it actually implemented is glorious. It's glorious.
Yes. Totally. Um, we've got a couple of other missions. Oh, the Chinese, who have been exploring the far side of the moon,
Yeah.
they're going to be launching their Chang'e 5 mission, and the goal here is to actually bring a sample back to Earth from the moon. And we are again watching the Chinese step by step uh,
Catch up.
catch up and demonstrate how serious they are about exploring the moon and progressing the science. They've now done things that no one else has done, and this is
Yeah.
the next step. They've set up a radio telescope on the far side of the moon. They've got a rover roving around on the far side of the moon and at the South Pole. So they're serious. And then next comes the sample.
And this is where slow and steady really is showing that it wins the race. And we're going to talk more about this later in the episode, but I look at what they're doing systematically, calmly, on the timelines that work without a whole lot of, we're going to do such and
Yeah,
such. They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
getting stuff done at the rate that they're comfortable. And they're systematically checking off all the firsts
Yep.
and catching up to everything that we can do. And they're doing it alone because ITAR regulations here in the United States don't let them work with the US largely.
Yep.
And it's awesome. I think everyone
Yeah.
needs to be keeping an eye on what they're doing.
They're,
Um,
I mean, this isn't going to happen this year, but they are in the process of building and launching their third Tiangong space
yeah.
station. It's going to be a much larger international space station with partnerships with many other countries. So when you look at that checklist, right, they've sent spacecraft to the moon. They've sent astronauts to space. They've built space stations. They have, so at this point now, they've done
Yeah.
everything but land humans on the moon, and that's the plan. So just keep watching.
And yeah, that's all I've got is they're rocking it out.
Yep. Uh, and then a couple of other missions as well. The Solar Orbiter is going to be launching some more observations of the sun. Let's talk about the human. Oh, actually, you know what? One other, and this is a robotic mission, but I just want to talk about Starlink. So they're planning on, I think, a launch every 2 weeks.
Which is insane.
Right?
And we've talked about this before. There's so many mixed emotions about this mission because on one hand, social justice says we need to bring internet to the entirety of
Mm-hmm.
the world in a way that can only be done with spacecraft because as Philip Metzger has pointed out, you can't run fiber optics to every tiny island in the Pacific. You can't run cables to every farmhouse in the American Midwest. All these remote individuals, whether they be hunters in Canada or just there's so many different things. The only way we're getting them internet is satellite internet. And power constraints, technology constraints means we can't do it with geosync satellites right now if you want to be able to do it affordably. And so at this point in time, we need Starlink, but Starlink wrecks ground based images, requiring more images than previously were needed to be taken to accomplish the same science. So we are slowing our ability to accomplish science
Mm-hmm.
in the name of getting internet to rural populations and all the mixed emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
All of them.
so if it does, I think I've hammered this regularly, right? If Starlink delivers on the promise of getting internet to people, across the world, and helps everybody be a part of the global
Yeah,
community. Because really, if you aren't on the internet today, you are not part of the modern economy.
it's true.
You don't get, and so there's a digital divide of the haves and the have-nots, and you will be a have-not because you can't sell your goods, you can't buy goods, you can't educate your children in the new technologies. It is, it's
Yeah,
it's absolutely required to be part of the modern society, or just, not. And so it's this digital divide. And so if Starlink helps that happen, then the price that we will pay is that we will lose some of our access to the sky. Accessing the sky will be more difficult. But
yeah,
if Starlink is used to ruin the skies and it's there to make bankers rich, then it's going to be a catastrophe and an
yeah.
absolute insult. So let's hope that the folks at SpaceX and Musk stand up for what's right and do the right thing, or we're going to
Right.
get really mad.
It's true. It's true.
So let's talk about human spaceflight for 2020.
So here again, all the mixed feels.
I'll bet you
Uh,
if you go back and listen to this part, it's going to sound very similar to what we did a year ago.
exactly. It's one of these things where uh, I visited Kennedy a couple of weeks ago, Kennedy Space Center down in Florida, uh, along with Susie, our producer, and Annie, one of my co-hosts over on CosmoQuest X on Twitch. Hi, Twitch. I we scheduled it thinking that we'd be able to see CRS-19, a SpaceX flight up to the International Space Station, as well as the Starliner test and possibly the SpaceX abort test. We scheduled our trip back in August, which meant we actually saw zero
Of
launches at
course.
Kennedy, but we went to Disney World and we saw lots of launches there. They were just more fictional.
Right. Star Wars
Uh,
launches.
but while we were at Kennedy and we did the standard tour they have at the facility, one of the things that really got me was how much they're plugging Starliner and Artemis as American made, American industry, American. And there was only a side mention of SpaceX. And I need to do more research to try and understand why SpaceX isn't getting branded the same way as an American ship, because one of the lines that keeps coming up in the standard NASA broadcasts with Starliner is we're going to be returning American astronauts from American soil on an American made spaceship. And they ended it with before the decade is out, except now the decade is out and they haven't done it.
Well, wait a
Um,
second. Does the decade end in 2019 or does the decade end in 2020?
I guess it depends on who you talk to,
Well, if you start
but
from year one,
if you start from year zero,
who does?
I does.
Do you? I mean, it's a
I
programmer,
do.
sure, but do you think humankind started the calendar at year zero? Do they call it year one?
Well, it should. I now, admittedly, I don't think there's a year zero CE common era,
Yeah.
but anyways, um, anyways, I really think that it's a bit concerning how much emphasis is getting put on Starliner first, because Starliner recently had a not quite healthy test.
Yes.
They didn't make it to the International Space Station. And we've heard a lot of folks, even NASA administrators, coming out and saying, well, we don't think Boeing needs to do a second test because the rocket worked fine and everything that went wrong with the capsule, an astronaut could have handled. And this, we don't need to do another test. is very different from where you see SpaceX casually blowing things up now and then and saying, okay, we're just going to repeat this till we get it right. And I'm much more a fan of test until it consistently works and then use it with the peoples than rush to production.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that we get human beings launching from American soil so that it saves us money that can get used for other stuff in the near future. I don't care if it's SpaceX or Space Launch Systems or Boeing. I do care about whether messaging makes it ahead of trial and proof of concept.
I'm sure this whole thing has something to do with money, has something to do with lobbyists, has something to do with the establishment,
Yeah,
and this is just momentum. And yet there's only so long you can handle the withering hail of progress from SpaceX before you
right.
just start going under. So if SpaceX needs to outcompete the established launch providers, then that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah,
Like when you compare the capabilities and just how far ahead SpaceX with the Crew Dragon already is to the steps that Boeing is taking with the Starliner, and yet you compare the amount of money that Boeing has charged, it's far more than what they charged for the SpaceX, for the Crew Dragon.
yeah.
They did a review
And
fairly recently on that.
it's worse than that. Let's back it up half a step and just look at the scenery. We have SpaceX has designed their Crew Dragon to launch on their Falcon 9, tried and true technology. They were originally designing the Orion capsule to launch on the Space Launch Systems, which is by Launch Alliance, which is a consortium of companies that includes Boeing and Lockheed. So far, Space Launch Systems is years and years behind development and billions of dollars over budget. Fairly recently, in the grand scheme of spacecraft innovation, a switch was made where they decided to fund Boeing to develop a Starliner, which would launch on the tried and true Atlas rocket, which is kind of like your go-to, you know it's going to work
Yeah,
rocket.
yeah.
And so you see this step sideways and backwards with Starliner, which is a okay, what can we build that will actually fit on this rocket that we already have? And this wasn't where we thought we were going to be. We thought we were going to be just a few years ago with Space Launch Systems versus SpaceX, two rocket suites, the Falcon series, the SLS series, and now we have, because it was recognized Space Launch Systems is so far behind the game and they don't want to have just one spacecraft. We've made that mistake before with the shuttle series where we
Yep.
only had one thing we could rely on. They want to have more than one thing that we can rely
And
on.
that's wise for sure.
It is.
Yep.
And Blue Origins is behind the game.
Yep.
There's no one else as far along. But Starliner is the next big hope coming on the far distant horizon. Starship is, sorry, I got that backwards.
Yeah.
Starliner is the Boeing, which is up on the horizon. Starship is far future coming to us from SpaceX, still being innovated. Space Launch Systems, which should already be flying, isn't. And it's all very confusing and I hate
So
it all.
yeah, so I mean, space launch. In theory, we will see the first flight of the Space Launch System at the end of 2020. That's currently the still on the docket. So we should see this year. We should see Crew Dragon take humans to the International Space Station. We might see Starliner take humans to the International Space Station, assuming they get these problems figured out with the launch last week.
Yeah.
We should see the Space Launch System do its first launch at the end of 2020, uncrewed, and then as the backdrop to this whole thing, we should theoretically see tests of the Starship, of the SpaceX Starship, do something orbital this year. Although, remember, I mean, we had the big reveal back in September, and Musk said it's going to be launching, it's going to go do its 20-kilometer hop in a couple of months. couple of months went by. We're
Yeah.
3 months past, and one of their starships kind of exploded.
It
So
was fabulous.
so it could be that we're still going to wait many months, maybe even years, for the next Starship to actually try and do its hop, and maybe years until it goes orbital. So
Yeah.
it's a funny time,
I
right?
suspect that it will take them a long time to get it human rated. I suspect we will see, because they are doing rapid prototyping across multiple sites. And this is the big difference between SpaceX, Boeing, and Space Launch Systems. And as near as I can tell, all the other people is SpaceX does rapid prototyping, recognizing some of their prototypes are going to fail spectacularly, and that's okay. For them, failure is an option as long as you learn from it.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for that.
So I think, so place your bets then. What do you think is going to happen this year in human spaceflight? So does SLS fly?
No.
Okay. Does Starship fly?
I suspect it will fly. I am deeply concerned it will fly with humans before they do another test run.
But we won't see a Starship fly this year with humans on board. Not Starliner,
Wait, sorry,
Starship.
Starliner. Starship we will not see with humans fly this year. We will probably see
Do you
more
think we'll see it go
testing of
orbital?
it. I don't know.
Yeah.
They got the Falcon Heavy to work, and they can use a lot of the same tech. So, yeah, I can see them doing LEO, low Earth orbit.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows
Yeah.
what the future holds. But I'm super skeptical that they'll do that they'll do low Earth orbit. That they will successfully return a Starship from low Earth orbit. But who knows? So then, do you think Crew Dragon carries astronauts to the space station?
I do.
Do you think Starliner does?
No.
Really?
Wait, hold on. Starliner is Boeing, isn't it?
Yes.
Dang it. Starliner versus Starship are going to break me. Do not name your products this closely together, people. Do not do this. I I think
We can
that
call it the CST 100 if you like,
oh
and we can
man.
call it the Super Heavy.
I think Boeing will launch people on the top of an Atlas. I am concerned they will do it without more testing.
Yeah, I think we'll see it right by the end of the year. I think we'll see like a year from now we'll see a CST. There you go, a CST 100 launch to the space station with humans on board, and I think we'll see a Crew Dragon go in a couple of months from now. So April,
That kind
May.
of matches what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yep. Awesome. Well, it's exciting though. I mean, there's a ton of stuff happening this year, both astronomically, robotically, and human space explorationally. And so, no matter what, this is an incredible time to be watching this. I can't think of a time when there's been more going on. We casually mentioned 24 launches of satellites, carrying telecommunication satellites to the entire planet,
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy year. I can't wait
It's going to
for
be
us
an
to
awesome year.
catalog it and watch it and report on it for this entire year with you, all of our friends, all of the streams that we do. Here's to a great 2020.
And we will be coming to you next from the AAS meeting in Hawaii,
Yeah.
where we're going to be working to bring you all the science.
We fly out
All
in
of
like
it.
5 days.
Yeah. So I believe that we are going to be skipping next week.
Yep.
Just because AAS prep is going to eat us alive.
Yes.
But there will be a lot more to come, including photos of the two of us together in one place.
You heard it here. Before we go, are there any names this week?
There are. Our show wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the generous contributions of so many of you through our Patreon program. If you would like to become a supporter of the show, please consider helping us out at patreon.com/astronomycast. This is how we pay Susie. This is how we pay our hosting bills. And this is also how we get you more content. So this week, I would like to thank Jordan Young, Burry Gowan, Froda Tenaba, Ra- Ramji Anamathu, Andrew Palestra, David Trugg, Brian Cagle, The Giant Nothing, Laura Kettleson, Robert Palasma, Corey Diwali, Paul Jarman, Les Howard, Joss Cunningham, Emily Patterson, and A Blip in the Universe.
Excellent. All right. We'll see you next week, Pamela.
See you later. Bye-bye.
That was a long episode.
It was. We hit a lot of content.
Yeah, well, and couldn't stop talking about Betelgeuse.
It could go boom.
I know.
It could go boom.
All right.
I want it to go boom.
All right. We got 8 minutes for people to ask some questions. Roman Geber asks, will Starlink become portable? Would love to use it on the go in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so the idea is that they're building a constellation of satellites overhead so that you should always have multiple instances above you, which means just like as you go from point A to point B in an area that has solid cell phone coverage, you switch from one cell phone tower to another. With Starlink, the idea is as you travel, you should be able to attach to different satellites. It's a whole suite of different orbits they're migrating into. So yes, you should be able to use this as you travel.
Right, but you're still going to need a pizza box size receiver. So it's not going to be your cell phone. It's going to be something that you can put in your car, something you can put in your RV, something you can put on your boat, something that you can carry and that you can set up when you get to the summer cabin.
Think like the Iridium satellites where they had a full constellation, but where the Iridium satellites were much more powerful and also much more expensive than this is hopefully going to be.
Mm-hmm.
The Iridium satellites would work off of like a shoebox sized sat phone. This, because they're smaller, they have less power, but things are more efficient than they used to be. You're still going to need that receiver, but it's just a different configuration.
Yeah, so you'll have like a receiver, and then you'll just connect your receiver with your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. At Trekker Kev on Twitch, Starlink coverage up to what latitude? So from what I've seen, it's really just going to be North America. It's going to go up to a little to the north of me. So like I'm at the 49th parallel, 50th parallel, 51st parallel.
And what I'm wondering is if they will sell you coverage that is good for anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be like once you get coverage, you kind of, once you pay, they guarantee in a certain location, but then if you take it somewhere else, then you get what you pay for, right? But I don't even know whether they're going to be transmitting outside of their coverage areas.
Well, and I need to look into this, but originally they had said it was going to be global coverage when fully launched.
Yeah, but they're gonna focus on Lower Canada and the United States from day one.
Yeah.
And then half of the issue is just getting through the regulations to offer the service in different countries.
Right.
So this is not my problem. I live in Canada. I'm signing up. You bet. That's all we're waiting for. So then I can, move out into the country and get some property and,
You already live in the country.
I don't. I live in a city.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you live in a small city.
A city with 50,000 people. How many people do you have in your city?
Small city.
Edwardsville? What's the population of Edwardsville?
So Edwardsville is about 24,000.
There you go.
But I live in a small town.
Okay, we live in the exact
same...
St.
Louis is considered a...
Sure.
Yeah. St. Louis is considered a small city, and it's a couple 100,000.
Yeah, so our population is the same, pretty much. Yeah, but there's a lot of countryside between St. Louis and where you live. Like it is definitely not a suburb.
I live in a small town.
Yeah, you live in a small town. So we live in about the same size town. Like our town is almost exactly the same as yours, right? About our city is like 28 8,000 people, and then we have a sister city, we're kind of connected to it, and it's about another 14,000. So between the two of them, and then when you add up all the little suburbs around, it's 50.
You live in the country.
Sure. Doesn't feel like the country with neighbors screaming all around us. So we cannot wait to live out in the forest. Trust me, we can get to wilderness. We can get all kinds of wilderness here in Canada.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have some questions for us? Otherwise, we will wrap things up. Let's see. Maybe some questions earlier. Let me see. RS Akavaria asks, Starlink is supposed to be temporary and then come down into the atmosphere in a few years.
But so there's a difference between individual spacecraft being temporary and the network being temporary. So just like the filters in your air conditioner are parts that have to be replaced, Starlinks are basically parts that have to be replaced.
Yeah. So each individual satellite can last 5 years if it has enough propellant on board, and then they'll deorbit automatically. Without power, they'll deorbit within a year.
Yeah.
So, and they will be deorbiting all the time as they swap them out and put up new satellites with new hardware, the latest and greatest. So at this point, it really is going to be this network that they're just swapping out parts.
One of the things that I find greatly disturbing about this is we are essentially mining metals and minerals and rare earth elements, putting them into spacecraft, and then redistributing those materials in a rain of dust of destroyed spacecraft across our planet.
Yeah, there'll be this layer that future archaeologists will find, like, oh, that was the Starlink era. That's funny. All right, well, we've reached the end of our hour, so time to get back to holiday relaxing. Thank you, Pamela, for joining us this week. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks to all of our moderators. Thanks to everyone on both YouTube and Twitch. It's great to have everybody in all the places. And thanks, of course, to our producer, Susie and Nancy Graziano. We couldn't do this without all of your help. We will see all of you whenever we're in Honolulu together, whatever happens there. All right. We'll see you all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Where are the buttons now? Oh, there we go.